You've logged into your Jacobson and Schmidt portal for the first time, and you'll probably notice there's a lot of information on the page. The first thing we want to point out is that this portal is separate from Fidelity's website and mobile app. All information and reports in this portal have been organized by us with one simple thing in mind. If we were our client, what might we want to know about how and what my money is doing for me? Not all of what's inside this portal may be useful to you, and that's okay. We're trying to provide as much transparency to you as we can. Okay, first up, you may notice that there are rectangles, or what we will call tiles, near the top of the screen. Let's look at the two large numerical tiles, starting with the lighter blue one in the upper left. This tile will display a value that includes any assets outside of JSA's management but entered or being tracked in the portal, such as your home, outside investments, or bank accounts that you might have linked. Included in this value can be nearly anything. It's simply all assets that are in the portal. The green tile in the upper right displays only the value of JSA managed assets. Importantly, if you're looking at a specific account and not all of your accounts combined, it will only reflect the managed value of that specific account. However, when most of you log in, you'll see all of your managed assets combined. In order to view an individual account instead of all of them together, you would use this simple drop-down. In between those two tiles, you may see a speedometer or an altimeter. This comes directly from the summary of your financial plan. It shows the probability of success you saw the last time your financial plan was updated and reviewed. Notice the data as of in the tile, which will indicate the last time the data for your plan was updated. Importantly, this does not update based on daily market movements because we are focused on long-term plans and not daily noise. If you do not see a speedometer style tile, it means that you do not yet have what we would consider a working financial plan, which suggests that there is an opportunity for you to better connect with your portfolio. The dark blue and gray tiles in the next row will show year-to-date information regarding your investment performance as well as money movement in or out of your portfolio. While the default opens to year-to-date, you can choose from a few different time periods. Now let's move on to the reports built into the portal. First, it's important to note that as you move from left to right, you will get more and more detailed. For example, all the way to the right, you will see a transactions report, which will drill deep into recent transactions. Not all of you will want to view this, but we feel it's important to provide the greatest transparency we can. We will focus this video on the left 4 reports, but please feel free to explore them all. The leftmost report, and the one that you should see when you log in, is called Capital Flows. This report shows 2 basic items, but it's important to mention that it only displays managed values. Unmanaged and outside accounts are not displayed on this chart. First, let's look at the blue shaded area. It displays the value of your portfolio over time. Moving the mouse over any data point should give you a date and value. The dark line can be thought of as your net investment or your principal. This is a very simple counter. If you put money in, the line rises. If you withdraw money, the line will fall. As before, moving the mouse over any data point will reveal the numbers and date. Please note that the more history you have in this chart, the more likely rounding error will exist because data systems were not as good in the 90s and early 2000s as they are today. The next report to the right is an asset allocation report. This report shows the dollars and percentages of your portfolio held in the different types of assets, like stocks, bonds, etc., and their subcategories. While this report appears quite simple, it's an important one because your asset allocation is one of the most important factors for your long-term success to achieve your goals. So there's a direct link between this report, which shows how your portfolio is structured, and your financial plan. Therefore, your asset allocation has a very important role in achieving your goals, and it's why we rank the report second on the list from left to right. Unlike most reports in this portal, you can view the balance of any unmanaged assets you have in Fidelity or your custodian, shown by this arrow. The next report is similar to the asset allocation report, but with a spin. Instead of showing your allocation today, this report will display your asset class percentages over the history of your time as a client. Once again, we're only looking at the managed value of the assets in this report. It's helpful to see if there are any major changes to the way your JSA managed investments have been allocated. For example, let's say you had an aggressive portfolio during the 90s, but now you're more conservative. This report and chart is the best way to see such a change. Next up is the total return report. You can think of this report as the report that best shows your investment performance during your entire history as a client of Jacobson & Schmidt. Like capital flows, this is only going to show performance regarding your managed assets. Your portfolio's performance is displayed as the shaded bluish area. You will also see two benchmarks. The dark-lined benchmark shows the performance of a U.S.-only portfolio with no cash or fees. It's the same benchmark that we've shown historically using the S&P 500 and intermediate-term U.S. government bonds, and that's gone back many, many years. The lighter-colored benchmark is a newer benchmark that includes some international stocks and a small amount of cash. We think both can help to give some perspective on how your portfolio has performed over the years, and in combination with your financial plan, give some context as to how everything is working together. If you see any triangles in your chart, they represent points in time where your portfolio changed significantly. If we go back to our prior example where you were invested aggressively in the 90s and not so much now, you would see a triangle where that change was made. Changes like this are important to understand as they pertain to selecting a benchmark to use. Therefore, if you see any triangles, it means that you have a custom benchmark being displayed on the page. We have, of course, tried to match your portfolio to the appropriate blend of stocks and bonds in constructing these. It took years, but we finally found a way to organize this and show it to you. The last thing to note about this report is that you can generate a PDF which will give you a little bit more detail about what's going on behind the scenes. We recognize that benchmarks can be confusing, so like always, please contact us with any questions you have. There's plenty more information to be found in the portal, so feel free to experiment with the reports, menus, and so on. Many things are clickable, and you cannot break anything. We always welcome your feedback and questions.